because people have work in the morning." "Right, right," Dell said, ushering them toward the door. "Go on. Off you go. Make a big impression. Here, you can borrow the Capri." As Rodney and Cassandra shuffled out a gladiator and a policewoman heading into the night of Peckham, Dell turned to Raquel. "You see, darling, power is an aphrodisiac." She's bubbling. Chapter 9. Gold Rush. The neon lights of the television studio were blinding. Dell stood on the stage of Gold Rush, facing Jonathan Ross and the judgmental gaze of the British public. He had lied about his pastimes, claiming an interest in 16th century Italian Renaissance art and managed to fumble his way through the preliminary rounds. "Rodney," Dell whispered into the phone, using his SOS option. "I need your help. £50,000 on the line." "Who's this?" "Mickey Pierce." Rodney's voice crackled through the speaker. "It's Jonathan Ross." "Rodney," the host shouted, "we need an answer. Which classical guitarist wrote the opera The Child and The Enchantment? Was it Ravel, Segovia, or Rodrigo?" Rodney, sitting in the flat in his pajamas, felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. "Ravel. 100%. Dell." Dell turned back to Jonathan Ross, a confident smirk on his face. "I'll go with that. It's Ravel." The silence in the studio was deafening. "Derek," Jonathan said softly, "that was the wrong answer. It was Segovia." The world seemed to collapse. Dell was frozen out. He returned home to a flat filled with disappointment. "I was certain," Rodney moaned. "I could have sworn it was Ravel." "Ravel makes shoes, you dipstick," Dell exploded, though he himself hadn't known the answer 10 minutes prior. Chapter 10. The Last Laugh. The phone rang. Raquel answered it. "Dell, it's the producer of Gold Rush." Dell took the phone, his heart hammering. "Hello. Yes. What?" His face went through a kaleidoscope of emotions. "He said there's been a mistake. It was Ravel. I've won the 50 grand. The room erupted. Cheers, hugs, and the clinking of glasses. For a fleeting second, the glory was back. The Trotters were once again the masters of their domain. But then, a familiar sound drifted through the receiver. The distinct clink of a jukebox from the Nag's Head. "Bloody Mickey Pierce," Dell screamed, slamming the phone down. "I'm going to move. I'm going to kick his arse into shredded duck." As the laughter of his family filled the room, Dell looked at the empty glass in his hand. He looked at Rodney, who was still trying to explain why he thought a shoe manufacturer wrote operas. He looked at Raquel, who was laughing in spite of their poverty. He realized that while the money was gone, the hustle remained. The spirit of the Trotters was not in the millions, but in the relentless, ridiculous hope that the next phone call, the next suitcase, or the next game show would be the one. He adjusted his gold chain, took a deep breath, and looked at his brother. "Don't worry, Rotters," Dell said, the old fire returning to his eyes. This time next year, we'll be millionaires. Yes, the Trotters were back. Fools and Fortunes, the Peckham Reversal. Chapter 1, The Inquisition of Derek Trotter. The sky over London hung low and gray, the color of a cheap tin ashtray, weeping a fine drizzle that clung to the windows of the bankruptcy tribunal. Inside, the air was stifling, smelling faintly of old paper, floor wax, and the cold sweat of ruined men. Rodney Trotter sat in the stiff-backed waiting room chair, his long limbs folded awkwardly, his knees bouncing with a nervous, rhythmic energy. He looked like a heron that had accidentally wandered into a boardroom. Beside him sat his older brother, Derek, Del Boy to his friends. Sir to the maitre d's of Mayfair at least, until recently. Del adjusted the cuffs of his bespoke camel hair coat, a lingering relic of a fortune that had vanished like smoke in a hurricane. He radiated an aura of forced invincibility, a sharp contrast to Rodney's visible unraveling. "I'll fetch the suitcase from the van," Del muttered, half to himself, glancing at the frosted glass door of the inner office. He hummed a tuneless melody, projecting a bravado that fooled neither of them. Rodney wiped his damp palms on his trousers. "What's up with you, Rodney?" Del asked, finally noticing his brother's pallor. "I'm a bit nervous, that's all," Rodney confessed, his voice a low, reedy whisper. "I mean, this bloke we're going to see, this Justin, he's not going to be asking me anything about my private life, that sort of thing, is he?" Del scoffed, flashing a gold sovereign ring that the bailiffs had somehow missed. "Of course he ain't. We're not that private. He's not going to want to know about you and Cassandra's little problems," Del added, a teasing glint in his eye. Rodney stiffened, his head snapping toward his brother. "No, no. Good, 'cause otherwise I would. Wait, what problems? Me and Cassandra haven't got any problems." Del leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that echoed loudly in the quiet room. "That's not what you said to me the other night." "All right," Rodney hissed, his face flushing a sudden, violent crimson. "So there's been one or two minor hiccups in the bedroom department, but they're personal, and I told you in confidence, under the strictest brotherly privilege, Del." All right, keep your hair on," Del placated, adjusting his silk tie. "I'm not going to be telling him about chiffons and things. And I won't tell him what Cassandra wears, either." Before Rodney could formulate a sufficiently scathing reply, the frosted glass door creaked open. A thin, pallid man with a clipboard and spectacles that seemed to magnify the utter lack of joy in his eyes stepped out. "Justin." "Sorry to keep you waiting," Justin said, his voice entirely devoid of sorrow. "It's been a particularly busy morning. Please, come in." They followed Justin into an office that felt smaller than a prison cell. It was lined with filing cabinets containing the shattered dreams of 1,000 small businessmen. Justin